Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological disease with no cure.
And those who have fought it include one of the greatest athletes of all time.
This is Enable, the Disability Podcast, where we share stories, experiences, support, resources, and more for people with disabilities and different abilities. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. My name is Deaf Jeff Herbert.
And my name is Kurt Hauer. We're talking with Rasheda Ali Walsh, an author and advocate whose father, Muhammad Ali, battled Parkinson's disease for 30 years. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Rasheda, you're speaking at an upcoming Empower Parkinson event in Syracuse. What does it mean to see the community come together in support of those in need?
Well, it's a beautiful thing. I'm very honored to work with Empower Parkinson. This is a very, very beautiful community. I've never spoken in Syracuse, so I'm excited about doing that this year. The executive director, Patrick, reached out to me because I had met him in 2018 at a Rocksteady boxing event in Philadelphia. So he reached out to me last year, and I'm glad we're able to connect and be able to impact 4,000 approximately members in central New York living with Parkinson's disease.
And what was it like seeing your father battle Parkinson's disease?
I grew up with my dad living with Parkinson's. My dad was diagnosed later at that time in the 80s. He was misdiagnosed many times because he was only 42 when he was diagnosed. So that was early for a lot of the professionals at that time, including the neurologist that was studying Parkinson's. So he kind of got a late start on getting his meds. At that time when we were addressed and was told about my dad's condition, I was in junior high. We were all young. The earliest memories of my dad is only with Parkinson's. So that's really most of our memories. He had Parkinson's already. So it was very normal for us, but we were slowly learning what Parkinson's is. And because my dad never complained about his condition, and he seemed to us like he was just getting older, like he had slurred speech and he would walk slower, but we just thought that was a sign of aging. And I think my dad set the tone for how us kids would deal with Parkinson's because he was never complaining, or he never, showed his dismay about the condition.
Now, we read that Empower Parkinson says exercise is one of the strongest tools to slow Parkinson's progression. Your dad was obviously a GOAT athlete, greatest of all time. But what kinds of activities did your dad do as he got older to help slow the progression?
Well, it's very interesting. My dad stayed in the gym, so he loved boxing, and we noticed my dad had a gym on his farm. When we would go, we lived in Chicago, and we would drive out to Michigan and Berrien Springs, where he had a large acreage of farmland, and he put a gym on that farm, and he would stay in the gym, and he would do the heavy bag and the speed bag, and he would, do the things that he really loves. And really, this was before the time that Rocksteady boxing and event and programs like that really wasn't a thing. So my dad always was boxing, so he continued to do that even with Parkinson's. Later on, he adapted speech therapy because he had one of the symptoms. Now, every Parkinson's patient is not going to come up with the same symptoms, but my dad did have slurred speech, so he did have a speech therapist, and I think that really helps with his voice because sometimes it was very hard to understand my dad, especially when he talked to his grandkids. And that difficulty kind of catapulted me into writing a book talking, especially to young audiences, young kids who are touched with family members with Parkinson's, to explain to them what that does to the Parkinson's patient. But my dad also had physical therapy. So he worked on his legs, he worked on his arms, Physical therapy is not just important with people with Parkinson's, but it actually will extend your life for even just the average individual. So I can't stress the importance of physical activity and exercise, especially with people with Parkinson's.
Your dad, he was a giant of a man. I think Billy Crystal, he referred to him as a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
And to see him go through being later in life confined to a wheelchair,
Yeah.
what was it like caring for your father?
Well, I wasn't the sole caregiver, but I consider myself a care partner. So, what a lot of caregivers, and this is something that I'm going to address at the event in Syracuse in March. Um, it's important to know that a caregiver it, it requires a lot of responsibility. So, and it's a special individual that would take on that role. And I always encourage caregivers to adapt the buddy system. So you really should make sure you have a team of family members, friends, doctors, whoever you can find that could help you with that process. Because realistically, it's a lot of work on the caregiver, and so care partners, in a sense, is very important, and I think I was a care partner for my dad.
I'll share the information for the event in the linked description of our episode. Here on the Enable podcast, we also like to remind people that we're not solely defined by the things we can't do when there's so many things we can do. Do you have any favorite memories of your dad or his career?
Well, there are many. One that sticks out predominantly is there was a time where my kids were very close to their grandpa, and we would always go places together, like restaurants, and we'd go riding around in his car, and he'd take us places. We went lots of places together, but specifically, we went to the movies. My dad lived in Scottsdale at the later part of his life. And so, because we had moved to Vegas, we were really close. So, we would really go there quite often. And one time we were visiting, I had to bribe my dad to take his medicine because Peter Jackson's King Kong was out at the time.
Oh,
Oh,
And,
wow.
and, and so, we're huge movie buffs, and so was my dad. But my dad is a huge lover of like, you know, he loved westerns, but he loved like horror movies and things like scary movies and things like that. So of course he loved Elvis, but anyways, King Kong was out. I says, Daddy, if you take your medicine, because he really never liked taking his medicine. I said, then if you take it, then we'll take you to see King Kong. And my dad's eyes lit up like this. And he was like, King Kong? I said, yeah, but you have to take your medicine first because we're not going to go because, we already know that you need your medicine to control symptoms like tremors and other things that, shuffle walk and things like that. And it makes you more comfortable, especially when you're a public figure. It's necessary that you get on schedule. And on top of that, we decided, or we knew real early on that you almost can't make plans with Parkinson's because kind of they have a mind of their own. So on a good day, when the meds would kick in, we decided my dad felt well enough where we can go to a movie. So it was me, my kids, my um, sister-in-law. No, my dad's sister-in-law was there, and my husband. We all went to a movie, and just my dad being there, people forgot their movie, put down their popcorn. They were like, "Oh my God, look who's here!" Once we got seated, my dad ordered a Coke and a popcorn. And Peter Jackson's, if you've seen the movie, it's a long intro. So it's like 45 minutes before you get a chance to see King Kong. And Daddy was so impatient. So he was looking at me saying, "Where's the monkey?" I said, "Daddy, we haven't got to Skull Island yet." so, so we're having so much fun watching my dad's reaction. We missed the movie. Like we literally turned our chairs to where dad, and it was just such a fun experience for me and my boys because to watch daddy get that excited, and quite frankly, at the movies, we saw no symptoms whatsoever. Like, it was really refreshing. Of course, part of that was he did take his medicine, but the other thing was he was excited doing what he loved, and so that was one of the greatest memories that I have of my dad and my kids.
Well, thank you, Rashida, for taking time to share with us. I think about your dad, and Muhammad Ali was one of those people that comes along once in a lifetime. And, everybody remembers him for boxing, but I'm reminded too about his inner strength and what he stood for as far
Yes.
as promoting peace.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if you had any closing thoughts you'd like to share.
Well, it's important that I'm excited about this event in March, and it's important that people in the central New York and the surrounding communities take advantage of the programs and services that Empower Parkinson's offers to them. There are some services that are on a small scale because funding is very important for services like this to take place. So, Empower Parkinson's has this wellness center in Liverpool, right outside of Syracuse. And the center offers more than just, they have boxing, which is I thought was really exciting because boxing is offered there too. But they also have like singing, and they have swimming and cycling, and it's a really intense program for people living with Parkinson's to be able to elevate their health and take control of their health. And I think it's exciting to be able to let the people in central New York know that this facility is here, and they also offer programs like support groups, because and this fundraiser is important because the money that goes to Empower Parkinson's will help these patients and their families live better with this disease. That's what my dad did. He made sure that he lived every day, each day, to the fullest extent possible. And I think Empower Parkinson's will allow people to do that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I have a neighbor and friend who has Parkinson's, and one of the things he discovered was pickleball, and
Oh,
he
wow.
he he enjoys it so much, but also in terms of his frame of mind, and it has really helped him. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. The benefits are, I can't list because I've had personal experience with my dad getting the physical therapy that he needs, and it really does help. People don't realize it's very important to have in your life.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you again for joining us. This is Enable the Disability Podcast. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. Please like, follow, and subscribe.
And please share this podcast with your friends and family so we can share more stories about people with different abilities that bring us all together. Thank you.